May the 4th be with you. Happy 49th anniversary for Star Wars. What better way of celebrating their anniversary by playing Star Wars Jedi Survivor, which I definitely plan, and not by coincidence because I looked at the calendar recently. Am I 3 years late? I wouldn't call it late and more like waiting for it to be optimized because we all know the release state of Jedi Survivor, especially on PC. And even then, I still face some glitches and bugs, although not game breaking. And some are quite funny actually. I bought this game on a 90% sale and I played Fallen Order a few years ago during the pandemic. But you guessed it was dirt cheap. But I did not have a good time because I did not use a controller back then for a combat type game. Yes, such genius. Now I have a new PC and have a legitimate controller. Here are my thoughts. I'm gonna go over the graphics and sound where I don't really have much to say. I think this game looked great as it still uses Unreal Engine 4 and we know how Unreal Engine 5 is right now, so I'm not mad. Without a doubt, this game looks absolutely beautiful and it is edited very Star Wars with the swipe transition, which is just icing on the cake as it just proves that it is unapologetically Star Wars. From the world to the skyboxes to the character models, everything is detailed and looks good. And can we take a moment to talk about the music and sound design? The sound effects for different color lightsabers is ever so slightly different. It is truly amazing attention to detail when swinging and during fights where they constantly clash. Even the environment sound effects is detailed from the starship traveling in Coruscant to forest white noise in Kobo. The music also feels very Star Wars and does not feel out of place at all, with the orchestra and the choirs just chef kiss. So in this department, no notes, it is absolutely wonderful. Gameplay. Another strong aspect of this game is the combat with the variety of stances that can actually make a difference and players can find their suitable playstyle. My favorite is the single and dual wield because I prefer fast and evasive playstyle, although for some people who are methodical, they can play using the knight stance, but it just won't for me and that's a-okay. Enemy variety definitely is not lacking, even different faces of bosses have different movesets from the droids to the stormtrooper to bedlam raiders to the wildlife, all have their movesets and have to be dealt differently. But the Metroidvania aspect of this game is bearable. The map highlights red if you don't have the ability to go through it yet, and turns green if you progress the story. But it does discourage exploration during early parts of the game, which is what I face, as it just feels so many red tapes blocking my path, even though in some corner could be a stim or a useful upgrade. But players would just go back and continue the main story even though it could make their experience less difficult. And another point is like 2 steps forward but 1 step back kind of feeling, as yes, there is fast travel and meditation points and shortcuts, but you can't fast travel to every meditation point.
Why? 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 Why?
It's still better than Fallen Order where there is none at all, but this limits you. So backtracking forces you to meet enemies again, taking your health even before meeting the hidden boss or bounty hunter that you want to defeat. And another thing that discourages exploration is the cosmetic nature of the rewards, where a minority is the stim upgrades or the ability to slice droids to be on your side, which is actually useful. On the other hand, there is that feeling where you kind of have to grind so that you have a more balanced experience facing the bosses in the story, but at some point it kind of feels tedious as I felt the reward just wasn't worth it. But I have to admit, I like exploring, but like a few hours, you start kind of feeling diminishing returns and feels like padding, because if you look at it this way, you kind of have to admit that the story is not that long. Without the exploration aspect, the game is short. Even with all the exploration, I managed to beat the game within 25 hours, including beating all the bounty hunters. This story, I feel like the main difference in plot is that Cal used to be naive and wanted to go back to how things were in Fallen Order due to his loss and trauma. There is that aspect of guilt of wanting to rebuild the Jedi Order, but at the end letting go and move on from his master's death and look to the future. While Survivor is about finding and fighting for a home and building a new future based on what is present. The story does not lack in emotional department, personal stakes, nor plot twists. That's all I have to say, is I want everyone to experience it firsthand, unlike me who watched a retrospect and got spoiled like God of War Ragnarok, but it is still an enjoyable experience nonetheless. Last but not least, the technical side. The technical state of this game, I am happy to report that after 3 years, it has no game-breaking bugs. Keyword being game-breaking. But it does have minor bugs. Luckily, it was all entertaining, but the performance has much to be desired even with the RX 9070 XT. The traversal stutter is real, especially in Kobo. Feels like you can't go a few kilometers without having stutters, some even lasting a few seconds before being playable again. And the loading screen when traveling between planets is horrendous, but other than that, it was pretty much smooth sailing from there. And here's the compilation.
Despite my efforts, those compasses you brought me were beyond repair.
That is how you will not get lost.
Help me! Here!
Another raider with a lightsaber.
Say, Jetpack, give me a hand up here.
Yeah.
Conclusion, honestly, this is a much more enjoyable experience than watching the whole sequel trilogy. I recommend it to anyone, even non-Star Wars fan, as the story is solid and quite isolated. The gameplay is fun, especially if you like the Metroidvania aspect of it or the Souls-like combat. If you have a console, it's even better. It performs better than a PC, definitely. But for PC users, it is not too fortunate, but it's stable. Thank you for watching, and as for the next video, I have no idea.